My husband, 42M, and I, 36F, have a very solid relationship. We have been together for about 13 years, have no children but are very active on my nephews, 4M, Mark life. For some background, my husband has a child, 16F, Laura, with whom only my Mill and to some degree Phil have a relationship with from his nuclear family. The reason being she was conceived when her mom poked holes to the condoms. It was a whole drama about it and my Mill begging my husband to have a relationship with Laura, but he simply couldn't. He even had to get psychiatric help in order to be able to cope with it. The mom admitted she did it so he would stay with her due to responsibility, but it did not work. He pays child support because the law mandates it, but nothing more. I didn't hear about this news from my husband but from my Mill, and she emphasized that she liked me a lot and hoped I would be a good enough person and procure a relationship between my husband and Laura. I was flabbergasted and asked my now husband about it because my Mill made it seem so different than the truth. He explained he was going to tell me before we moved in together, and to be fair he kind of had already gave me little infos here and there, and explained the whole situation and even told me I could go to therapy with him and see the psych info if I wanted, but things were not like my Mill said. His sister confirmed this as well, and explained this issue was the reason she was not as close to her parents anymore. Things went okay-ish for some time and even the wedding went without issues. We all have several boundaries and Mill more or less respects them, although she still have constant communication with Laura and her mom. We have several cycles of very LC with her. But things went to overdrive once my Sil got pregnant with Mark. Mill started telling everybody it was not her first grandchild and all that cryptic stuff. My husband was so uncomfortable about it. She pushed for Laura to be involved in birthday parties, christening, etc., but we all said no. She also invited both of them to her birthday party a couple times and we simply did not attend. Now the new issue is that Laura has been so sad for not having the bio dad in her life. My husband said no and left immediately. I stayed while grabbing our stuff since I had brought food and told her it was not going to happen. According to my Mill, Laura just wants to know my husband since he is her real dad, and despite being okay with her stepdad, it's not the same. She said she will give her our address and contact info because she is desperate for a connection. I told her I would call the police on all of them. I said my Sil will be very upset with her when she hears of this and to not be surprised to get less access to Mark. Mill called my husband cruel and me a bad person for encouraging his cruelty towards an innocent child. I told her I understand Laura is innocent, but she most likely would not be asking the same if it was a woman who conceived in the same circumstances. Ada? I asked if I had a not because I want to betray my husband but because I stand by him no matter what. The condom did not break and he was very into safe sex. She assured him she was on the pill but he wanted to be safer by using condoms. Yes, she admitted to poking holes when he asked her if she would consider an abortion and if not if they could co-parent because he really didn't want a relationship anymore. She admitted to it. Mill knows all of this. She is not in jail because Mill begged my husband to not report it and he just wanted it all over. My Phil is like Switzerland now. At the beginning he was up in arms until my Sil asked him if he would feel the same if it happened to her. Mill is on thin ice with Sil since she introduced Mark to Laura on a zoo outing without consulting Sil first. Mill is not allowed alone time with Mark anymore. He has to pay child support until Laura is 18 or done with education in the country we live. He already made sure to make a will leaving her the minimum allowed by law since you can't disinherit children in the country but you can leave them the least amount. Mill is very distraught at this since he had me and Mark as main beneficiaries. Husband does not want to meet Laura, give her a letter, etc. I am not going to make him do that. I do believe my Mill is pushing harder since Mark was born because my husband is amazing with him. We even took him on a trip recently and we are very loving towards him. We also spent a bunch on him because we own our place but it's all in my name for obvious reasons. I don't know if Laura knows, but I would never tell her because it is not my place and despite everything I think it is horrible to learn and worse from someone you don't even know. Update 1. I showed my husband the post and after spending a long time reading the comments he decided enough was enough. Yesterday morning he texted my Sil and Mill telling them he would like to meet and have this over with. Mill said we could do it in the afternoon and that Laura was coming too. We all said okay. My Sil and Bill met us at the door because they didn't want to go in before us. It was really tense since the beginning. Laura tried to hug everybody but we asked her to please not. Then she tried to hug my husband and he was slightly less polite and asked her to not touch him. My Mill was very cheerful somehow and my Phil was just offering everybody drinks and snacks. He was like living in his own reality. We sat down and after what felt like the longest 5 silent minutes of my life my husband turned to Laura and asked her if she could please leave him alone. Laura responded that he was her dad and she will need his support when she goes to uni since she was planning to move to our city and it was very expensive and hard to find a place. She said she knew he owned his own place and that he clearly has money to spare so she was wondering if he would help her out. My husband said no, that he was already paying child support and will stop as soon as the law allows him to. She was upset but somehow kept going. She turned to me and said that at the end of the day what is my husband's will go to her since Mill explained the inheritance laws to her and she wanted to be in good terms with me for when we need to decide what to do with the house, etc. I just told her not to worry because the house is on my name only and there is already a will covering it all. Mill knew about the will but not the house situation. Laura was a bit taken aback and looked at my Mill like asking for help. She said that even if there is no future money she thought my husband was unfair to her and that she used to think he simply didn't want to be a dad but he is amazing with Mark and we even take him on trips. My Sil asked her point blank if she knew how she was conceived, and she does. Laura knows everything and says that while it was not the nicest way, her mom wanted her so badly that made it happen. She said Sil should understand because she has her cousin and she would love a relationship with him. My Sil was seething and Bill told Laura he will literally call the cops if she tries to get near Mark. She started crying, saying that she wanted her family to love her and be as awesome as everybody is with Mark, and that it is not her fault and her mom is not a bad person, she just wanted a family, and my husband denied them that. My husband said that it was the lying and the deception that costed the relationship, not him, that if there was an honest mistake things would have been different. He told her he will never be her dad and she needs therapy. He said that she could get a job instead of expecting him to pay for her life in the long term, and that he is not willing to have contact after today. Mill started begging both her kids not to go and do family therapy. They both said they are going NC with her and Phil is on thin ice. Mill is blocked everywhere. I guess this is it. NC with Mill from all of us. Sil and husband seem actually pretty happy with the decision. We had dinner together and the topic was dropped after a couple minutes and we focused on other stuff. I am sorry there is no Disney ending, but this is for the best and I still support my husband's mental health above all. I think I would like to play a little devil's advocate regarding the money. When Mark was born we started being very active in his life. We have yearly passes to the zoo, get him nice things, pick him up from daycare twice per week, got him to Disneyland Paris, etc. I believe my Mill was showing her pictures and that is why it came out like this. Or at least it is my assumption of it. Her mom is not poor by any means, but she does have 2 other kids. Our city is very popular for student life, which makes it that much expensive. My husband and I are not interested in having or not children on our own, we simply are ambivalent about the issue. I know it might have made Mill even more eager to have a relationship with Laura. We were giving her pocket money for some time, but we have decided to stop that as well and let her figure things out with her pension alone. I don't think we will have anything else to update in this case other than if Laura or Mill come around Mark, but I highly doubt this will happen. As much as we don't want a relationship with any of them, these are a teenager and a pensioner, not criminal masterminds. Update 2. I want to start by saying, thank you again to the encouraging messages and an F to the ones calling us all monsters. We are humans and flawed as every single one of the rest. I thought the issue was over and dropped, but it seems it is now. We had some weeks of bliss and chaos afterwards, we are all still recovering from it. Now to what happened to explode our life again, and please keep in mind it Bryn. Geez me no joy. My nephew Mark turned 5 weeks after my last update. After so many messages from my Mill and Phil, my Sil decided to let them attend but told Mill she was not to bother me or my husband. My Mill didn't approached us once but kept staring at us and we decided to ignore her. The issue was that I kept holding my pump stomach and my husband kept being goofy about it. I am not pregnant, I have several intolerances to delicious yummy things that make me bloated, but I misbehave and eat sometimes. My Mill does not know about most of them since they are age developed, and we used to go yo-yo with LC with her, so I guess she assumed I was pregnant. A week after Mark's birthday party is when everything went to hell. Laura came to my husband's office and made a scene. She was screaming at him how she couldn't believe he was starting over without taking care of his first child and many other insults and stuff. She was throwing office supplies and crying and making a whole deal, so the office manager called the police and an ambulance. She also called me. By the time I arrived, my husband was having a panic attack in his office and totally sure he was fired. I told him to not worry and I will sort it. I explained everything to everybody from coworkers, to police, to IMS. Laura was taken in for evaluation and the coworkers took a long lunch so my husband could leave without having the awkward walk out. I took my husband home shaking, and as he was panicking and crying he said he felt unsafe. I took him to a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist was able to calm it, and we also had a session together days later where he opened up more about what the mom did to him. This has been very expensive but worth it for sure. Laura was not really in trouble since the office manager agreed to let it go for an apology and payment. The mom, Laura's, was not having it. The moment she saw my husband at the station she went ballistic and my husband couldn't handle it and he had another Pawnee C attack. This woman is a fucking doctor but does not care for it. ATG the end, she paid the fine and restitution to the office and took Laura home. My Sil was so done with my Mill after it, she told her dad he either divorce her or she is cutting him too. It is still a 50-50 since Sil is literally Phil's favorite person, but he has been married to Mill for like 44 years. My Bill took my husband camping and they had fun and kept him distracted. He has been mainly on sick leave since the incident. He is a manager, so he would come 1 day a week and then get the rest of the week covered so he can recover. This was suggested by his bosses. Hey, all feel like they should have protected their employees better. My Sil, husband, Bill, and I had a disagreement due to Laura's expenses. I suggested to just get her a block payment and requesting she should get therapy, but all of them say she should get nothing. I said I would be willing to pay for it, but after the new revelations on my husband's relationship with the mom, my Sil is even more up on arms against helping them more than we should. I do feel bad for Laura, I do. And I know the rest, husband, Sil, Bill, used to a little. Now, there is no way in heaven to make them help her. The last nice thing my husband did was convincing his bosses to not charge Laura and paying for the monitors she broke. Since his leave, my husband spends a lot of his afternoons with Mark. My Sil and Bill and leading the charge on getting Laura to accept a bulk payment and therapy but don't want her in their life. Mill and Phil and estranged so far, and my husband goes to therapy once a week and slowly recovering. And before it starts, yes, we know Laura is a victim of her mom, but does it give her a right to re-traumatize my husband? Now on to the second story. Mill devoured our cake, denied it, and then we found the evidence in her closet. Now we are left wondering what her obsession with food and selfishness is. We are at my mill for a couple of weeks. Becca, use our house is being renovated. Now only couple of days have gone by and it is already drama. I won't go into that. But 3 days ago my fiancée made a cake for all of us. She just wanted to be kind. My mill tried the cake. She said that she doesn't really like it, and that it's too chocolatey. That being said, not that I count or that I don't want her to eat from it, but she basically ate half of the whole cake in 24 hours. The next day, she said that now, she's gonna make a cake. I thought that she must have been feeling sorry that she ate so many, and that she wants to make up for it. She made a cake and put it on the table. All three of us took a slice and ate it. It wasn't bad. So now 3/4s of the cake remains on the table. Yesterday I walked out to the kitchen and all 3/4 of the cake disappeared. I immediately asked the both of them. My fiancée said that she only ate one more slice. My mill was very intimidated, and she only said that her friend was over from the neighborhood, and she gave her the cake so that it doesn't dry out. It's a very shitty excuse, but okay, we went with that. Today in the morning we were searching for cloth hangers in the house because we needed more in our room. My mill was at work and we texted her if we could check her clothes cabinet for hangers. She said of course. When we opened the cabinet, there were 2 plates in it, both the cakes that my fiancé and the one she made was on it, next to them a spoon, and traces that she's been eating them there. We both got furious and waited for her to come home and talk to her. Thanks God that I told my fiancé that she should take a photo of it, because when she arrived home and we told her what we found, she told us that we can't go to her room anymore, and that we found nothing. Then we showed her the picture. She was very aggressive and embarrassed, and couldn't really know what to say. We fought about it and she went away. We don't know what to think at this point. Is she afraid we're gonna eat it from her? She wants them all for herself? We didn't talk since then, but I don't know where from here. Do we stay? I couldn't believe she would do something like this because she is not obese or food addicted to act in a way like this. She barely eats throughout the day, and she's pretty fit. Edit, I don't think she has an eating disorder, she barely eats normally, and she is very thin. I think she has some problem with sharing with people. She always thinks about herself. In the past, whenever we went out somewhere she demanded that she was in control of where we go. Otherwise, she gets angry. Also, she is never satisfied with anything that we or her new boyfriend do. We can do everything, but she always finds something to complain about. Also, she has a list in her head of what things she buys in the fridge, and if one day we buy proportionally less, she tells us that she thinks we should have bought Zai because she too bought X. Or in restaurant, once she pays, the next time we are paying she would order 3 times the amount she can eat, so that she can bring it home, saying not to waste. She clearly has something going on with her, but doesn't matter how we tell her, she thinks that we are attacking her or that we are making up stories of what she did or does. We can't really speak with her. Update 1. Pretty much the whole yesterday went by awkwardly because my mill had an attitude. Anything she did, she was just slamming everything together, making a terrible loud noise, not talking to us, only giving passive-aggressive comments. At the evening we called her to the table and very calmly we apologized, and we tried telling her that she might need to see some professional. Not the first time we tell her this. But again, she stood up and told us to leave her alone. Today we woke up and she's acting like nothing happened yesterday. 2. Eating disorder. A lot of you suggested that she has an eating disorder. Okay, at this point I can accept that fact. Boo. That's not the only problem she has. I clearly wouldn't make such a fuss about a cake if there is no other reason to be upset, and the reason I'm upset because she always has some drama going on in her life and she's always draining us with it. 3. Why we don't go elsewhere. When we talked about moving somewhere, we never even thought about moving to her. We wanted to move in my college's apartment that he rents, but without even mentioning anything, my mill said that we should move to her. After we moved in, the first day she mentioned that she offered us her house because she feared we would move to her ex-husband's house, aka my Phil. This is idiotic, because my father lives ludicrously far away from us. Anyways, the reason we settled with my mill's house because at the end, my fiancé said it would be a nice opportunity to reconnect with her mother after all these years of seeing each other only 2 to 3 days every 9 or so months, and that we could spare some money that we would give on the rent. Needless to say we are not really connecting, and at this point I would rather pick to spend some extra money. 4. History. My fiancé told me about her growing up, and she told me that her mother was always like this, plus even worse. She mentally abused my fiancé and totally destroyed her self-esteem. With a mother that doesn't find anything good, it was impossible to impress her, or to feel like she had done enough. She always walked on eggshells around her, because you wouldn't know when she would explode. My mill pushed everyone away from her life. My fiancé goes to psychologist even to this day because of that, and in the past had similar traits. Luckily she healed some, and it does not affect our relationship as much. 5. Talking with my mill. We tried to talk to her in the past, but she think that we are attacking her, or that we are against her, and she goes full defensive. She starts crying and shouting. She is 100% sure she has no problems, and we are just making up lies about her, and all that. How dare you, I raised you, you have no right to tell these things to me stuff. Once in the past my Phil called a professional to their home that tried to talk to her. After 3 sessions the psychiatrist said that she is a person that would never heal, because she is incapable of accepting her faults. He couldn't diagnose her problems because she has more than one, but he said that my mill is otherwise sane, just very damaged. This was 15 years ago. Maybe today's psychology is more developed and would manage to help her, but until she accepts that she needs help, nothing we can do. Update 2. As you may have read in my previous posts, we had a whole drama in the house since we moved in my mill's house while our house is being renovated. We had some good days since then. She seems to have calmed down a bit. We even went to a national park together. She was loving it all the whole time. I mean, she wasn't freaking out, just her ordinary complaining and negativity. My fiancé and I decided that we should stick together, and came up with a couple of plans how to deal with her mother. The first thing was that instead of asking direct questions about her eating disorder, we just circle around the topic until she spills what's going on. And it worked. We asked about when she eats, what she eats, etc. She told us that she eats throughout the day normally and in normal quantities, but when she feels like there is no food in the house, her no food in the house is ours still 2 weeks worth of food in the house, she gets angry/anxious and she just has to buy food and store food everywhere. Also, I have to admit that the majority of you in the comments were right about her hiding food because of her ed, because she said that she just can't fall asleep knowing that she didn't eat before. And during the night sometimes she wakes up and has to eat some to calm herself. My fiancé said it has something to do with her childhood, because my mill comes from a very poor family. She told us stories that as kids, they were forced to go down with her friends to the local lake and catch crawfish, frogs and a type of fish I don't know the name of, but they call it a fisherman's nightmare because it swallows the hook immediately and you have to take apart the fish to extract the hook, plus its flesh tastes disgusting, exactly because it eats anything. So yeah, back to the topic, they had to eat all of this to survive. After she grew up, she sworn to never eat fish again in her life. She kept that promise. We kinda link her eating disorder with the fact that she had no food in her childhood, and she feels scared when there's lack of it. The second measure we took was whenever she started complaining or was angry at something, we ignored her, like a bad child, and it seems to work. She throws her hissy fit, she gets no reaction, and she goes on like nothing happened. It is not a permanent solution though, because of course she annoys the heck out of us. This has nothing to do with her ed, this is just her being an Like while I was driving them to the national park, my mill asked at least 5 times if I want her to drive, on a 2-hour road. You would think that she's being kind, but no, she tries to be in control, because she makes comments every 10 minutes about how I didn't shift well, or that I should do this or that. I insisted that we drive our car, because if we go with her in her car, we are afraid for our lives. She just doesn't look anywhere except straight, and she doesn't care for the car either. She just slams in every hole on the road, drives on a curb at 30 miles per hour, it is a nightmare. She already had a couple of accidents. She got the fine because police investigated and she was in fault, but of course she spent hours convincing us that she did nothing wrong, and the police are stupid. And one more annoying thing she did. We told her that we are going to cook for her her favorite meal. Our hobby is cooking. Throughout the years we learned hundreds of recipes. She already tried it once when she visited us but couldn't remember. Let me tell you, she loved it. Long behold, when we finished cooking, she arrived home with a bag, in it the same meal we prepared, only from the local restaurant. We asked why did she buy that. She said just in case ours tastes bad. Just imagine if I was a woman, and my mill does this to my cooking anyways. About the moving, we decided to bite our tongues, and stay here 2 more weeks. I called the guys from the renovation company, I told them mill alert, and they said that although it would take up to 4 weeks to finish everything, he will make sure that in 2 weeks they finish the majority of inside jobs so we can move back, and we'll do the outside things while we are already in it. I told my fiancé that with the money we now spared from not paying on rent, we will go on a little vacation in August. It has been 3 years since we didn't go anywhere, we were saving up for the renovation.